The revamp. We've been talking about the Azeroth revamp quite a lot lately. It feels like tons of shit about revamps have been talked about, and Bellular has his take on it. In that universe, you got Ash Candy, yeah. Look, if you guys are new to the stream, you'll know one thing and one thing only. I cannot get Ash Condor to save my fucking life. It'll never happen. Galakron Prime, yeah. It'll never happen. I have not gotten Ash Condor, killed that boss 6 times, gotten the thing to drop 3 times, lost it by 1 point. Twice. Yeah, fuck me. Anyways, how's the Azeroth revamp gonna happen? Bellular has his take on it. Let's see what Bellular has to say about the Azeroth revamp and all the other things that are going down here as we head to the future of WoW.
The big revamp. Weeks ago, we went the distance. You all saw the evidence. Remade assets sitting unused in the game's files. Moreover, the story is ready. Old Azeroth cries out. 11.0, 12.0, could be either of them. I mean, if it launches November 2024, then it would be World of Warcraft 10th expansion launching on the game's 20th anniversary. That is fairly big. But beyond timing, it is clear that Blizzard are doing heavy lifting for something big. Something that they're trying to set up. And with WoW changing the way that it has, we in many ways know what a revamp will look like. And it's became clear there are 3 ways that Blizzard will be able to do it. All of which are made...
3 ways. More assets. We're going to get new in-game assets. New leveling style? Who knows about that? And what else? What's the 3rd way? I guess I should watch the video to find out. But most of all, I'm excited for Scarlet Monastery orgies. Those are coming. They're confirmed. Here on the stream, I've confirmed them yesterday. Scarlet Monastery orgies are coming. The sex cult, Scarlet Monastery, will return.
Made better by our sponsor. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code BELLULAR16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. Their meal kit service is awesome. They help you stay healthy, learn to cook, and taste fun new foods. And of course, for us, now that the game's out and a whole bunch of other work is done, I am 100% in fix my body mode. It's very important to me. And that means no fast food, no processed food, and of course they help me with that goal.
Is Leaky Donut's name Pete?
And tracking your macros.
By the way, Darcy said something about him.
I didn't know that. You have full nutritional info, which makes counting all of that super easy, and they've got a range of dietitian-approved meals that are under 700 calories with a third.
Yes, I got Addison and Leaky, just 2 more people.
And then there's the money side. I mean, honestly, for me, with how prices are right now, cheaper than groceries. You're not left buying a bunch of ingredients and paying for a bunch of ingredients that you don't need because you only need a tiny number of them for whatever your meal is. That saves you money. It saves you clutter in your house. They're so much cheaper than fast food. I mean, the price of a delivery for 2 in Belfast, let's just say a curry and a starter, that costs as much as like 4 2-person HelloFresh meals.
Curry and
of course,
spinach,
cooking a meal kit is faster than waiting for a delivery. So I love their quick meals too. These are ones you can throw together in no time, like the honey mustard sausages with onion gravy. It was delicious.
HelloFresh is very hit and miss.
I just think it's less stressful having all of this handled for me.
Never tried it.
Plus, it's nice developing those cooking skills. Really good plus. So you can get all of that by going to HelloFresh.com and using code BELLULAR16 at checkout for 16 free meals plus
I would imagine some of their meals are good.
All right, check them out. Thanks to them for sponsoring. Let's go.
Okay, what it looks like. Let's see.
The year is 2024. Azeroth is in the first stages of being rebuilt. Anduin Wrynn has returned to reclaim his throne.
Yes.
But he can't step out of the shadows just yet. For the past 5 years, he has been traveling Azeroth in secret, dealing with his shadow...
He has not been traveling Azeroth in secret. Come on. We all know where he's been and who he's been there with. Okay? He's been fucking Sylvanas. That's what's been going on.
And trauma. Now he's ready to return, but the kingdom is in turmoil. Elwyn is awash with bandits claiming to be a new Defias. Duskwood is plagued by necromancers with hordes of the undead. Redridge is no better with the last bitter remnants of the Dark Horde.
A lot of Eastern Kingdom. All this shit says we're revisiting the Eastern Kingdom, which to me is fun. I love this shit. I love going back.
Trapped tigers.
The Moth, yes.
But what's worse is the den of snakes back in Stormwind City. The nobles
he's been in the
have
with
enjoyed years of greater power while Tyrallion has been regent on the throne, maybe have their own designs. Anduin, and, of course, us, adventurers, have to figure it all out, beginning the new King's Hand Renown track. We quest through a Stormwind megazone.
This real? This he's just speculating all this shit? This actually sounds badass. Holy crap.
We quest through a Stormwind megazone with Matthias Shaw and Gen Greymane, stabilizing the kingdom and getting Anduin back on his throne.
This is all speculation, but this sounds great.
This isn't a full speculation. Narratively, it's all stuff that essentially fits and will have to happen, including a few things that they've recently established, like the resurgence of a new, different Defias Brotherhood. We just haven't seen most of this in the game yet.
Fuck. Charbs, what are you talking about? The Alliance is the best side. Stormwind? It's fucking great. This storyline's great. I love it.
Greymane knows Anduin is on Azeroth, but that he doesn't want to be found. The Defias are back. Matthias Shaw has tangled with necromancers in Duskwood. Turalyon is a good, loyal man, but political intrigue and responsibility beyond, far beyond that of a warrior, may change his mind. After all, Anduin Wrynn abandoned his throne without telling anyone. So can anyone truly say that Anduin is fit to rule? Especially after some of the more corrupting things that he's been through. So between exploring Azeroth, short stories, grimoires, and key dragonflight insights, we actually know a lot of what's going on back in the home regions of Azeroth. The only thing that we really added here was a basic narrative framing and a renown track, because at the end of the day, much of that is what we'd be doing. We'd be bringing the old world's lore up to date.
This looks great,
and
man. I love this. This looks so good.
Exploring it through modern dailies, events, world bosses, factions, rewards, and of course campaign quests. Think about the amount that they've packed into each modern zone, like say the Onaran Plains. Layer over that the story that we know is developing in places like Stormwind, and the nuts and bolts of a revamp become extremely clear to us. Overall, it's a massive job. 40
See, but you know what the difference is between this revamp and Cataclysm? Cataclysm took everything we liked about the game, or the looks, you know, the feels, attachments we had in old memories and old zones, and fucking destroyed them. That's what it did. This revamp's going to do the opposite. It's going to up-res everything. You know, not take away, but bring back everything at a new, with a new light. The stuff that we loved. That's why I'm okay with this. Cataclysm kind of fucked shit. And hardcore. Like, it really did. It took some old zones and made them look completely different. Messed them all up. This is going to just be a nice little HD package to old zones.
That's not including anything added since vanilla. But we do know what the gameplay would look and feel like, and we know what the story is. The size would make sense with dragon riding, after all. I mean, just think about how much larger, say, the Azure span is than even multiple zones of the original game stitched together. With this in mind, then, let's check out the 3 clear roads to revamp.
Oh, okay.
Dragonflight has had a storm of patches, with even the 0.5 and 0.7 patches being rammed with content, and that has me excited for the future because it points us to the most pragmatic way to wrestle with the enormous task of a revamp, patch by patch. Think of it this way: launch brings
Sladat, thank you for the follow-up.
Stormwind, Orgrimmar, and their surrounding zones into the modern day. Each faction gets to dive into campaigns exploring what's going on in the home territories. Then the first patch hits, the Plaguelands and Hyjal. Let's kick off with a bit of faction tension. Gilneas brushes up against a reformed Forsaken state. Night Elves, many of whom are still bitter, repopulate lands close to Orgrimmar's holdings. But the real beauty will be in filling out the rest of the world. Let's go back to the Plaguelands and see what the silver...
The Order Halls, man, I miss these things. I really do. The Order Halls were a great thing, and I think they're more important now than they used to be. Because we don't got factions. We don't got faction divides anymore. I would love to see Order Halls brought back in some way. Because this shit was such a great addition to the game. Wrong, it's 63% are made up on the spot. You guys are both fucking wrong. It's 99%. 99% of stats are made up
have been up to
on Tuesdays.
Did you know, as an example, that they canonically, per the Exploring Azeroth books, have been trying to reclaim Stratholme? They haven't succeeded yet, which definitely does feel like some future content. daily zombie hunts through the city streets, clearing out the catacombs underneath the city like we did in 1007 Scara Vaults, building a foothold for the paladins that we expand as we work harder, eventually freeing the city. We also cannot forget the Lordaeron transmogs that we would get while we're at all of this.
Yeah,
Expand
that'd be good.
that out. The
I'd like
big
that.
Cosmodan patch. The pirate patch, following the pre-Other Side of Azeroth exploits of the Night Squall as he tries to gather.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. We're gonna make boats. I know it. You see all the dragonflight the dragon riding customizations. We're gonna get to make boats. We're gonna get customizations for them, and we're gonna fucking ride off to the other side of Azeroth. Maybe jerk off on the other side of Azeroth.
Gather together his epic pirate fleet. Now you've got content for Tanaris and Stranglethorn. What about the eternal war between the Magram and the Gelkis? Pick a side and get stuck in.
Do it.
Open world PvP potential is huge in Desolace with bloody tokens all around.
I love
then you have
open
the
world
0.5
PvP.
and 7 patches filling out zones with mysteries like the Swamp of Sorrows, or checking back in at the Temple of Atal Hakar after the final defeat of Hakar in the Shadowlands, or maybe
Sounds
going
great.
to Ungoro Crater now that we know so much about the Titans bullshit. By the end of this expansion, you would have 4 raid tiers, new dungeons, seasons, and everything that you would expect. But you'd also have a totally revamped world.
Wow.
But even the Cataclysm had new zones, right? Is there scope for that as well?
Yeah, well, the other side of Azeroth.
It's time to check out the potential of a second road to revamp.
A makeover?
Azeroth has just went through a time skip from the end of Battle for Azeroth to the start of Dragonflight.
Right.
5 years had passed. We spent 2 in the Shadowlands and then 3 passed off screen. And while Lorthamar and Thalyssra got married, not a great deal.
These two. That's what I call some good in-game fucking. These two went to town on each other. I love that. I love the little hints and the flirting that was going on between them. And now, oh man,
Deal happened. If we follow the usual rule of an expansion lasting 2
you can't fly in Silvermoon, but let me tell you, those two were, there was some flying going on.
If we follow the usual rule of an expansion lasting 2 years, then that time skip
They're both
goes all the way up to
nonstop.
7 years by the time that we return from the Dragon Isles. Yes, 7 years since the fall of N'Zoth, and that feels significant. Steve Denuser directly addressed the timeskip in a statement, and he made a point of saying that big events like the reclamation of Gilneas would be stuff we would see in-game, not locked behind a timeskip or relegated to a book.
That'd be great.
Gilneas then is on the cards
Gilneas
for
is
the
a
near
cool city.
future, but that's outside the scope of just the original revamp that I talked about. But it is part of the second most likely type of revamp, the Makeover Plus. One of the big pillars of our
Makeover
revamp video
Plus.
was the fact that many of the assets needed for the job already existed. You could say that WoD gave us Orc and Draenei stuff, that Legion gave us loads of Elven stuff.
True.
Borealis could perhaps be used as a basis to rebuild Stormwind. You'd have to change a few materials and things, but there's a lot of very powerful building blocks there. Dragonflight has Furbolgs, Centaur. We've had new gnolls, so many actually
kind of right.
new basic creatures. But hidden in the game files are HD remakes of basic stuff, like the Goldshire Inn, all that Elwyn Forest stuff.
That's
They're
nice,
the exact dimensions of what's currently in
Let's be honest,
Elwyn
if there's a makeover of the Goldshire Inn, it's for one reason and one reason only. Moonguard. And the things that go down in the Goldshire Inn. If you don't know, go make a character on Moonguard and walk your way into that inn and see what's going on in
stuff. They're the exact dimensions
Nothing but
of what's
educational
currently
content.
in-game. So in the most basic way, you could wholesale remake and
Prairie Dog's
replace
got a
some
makeover,
assets.
yeah.
You don't necessarily
They've
need
redone
to
a
do
lot of
full
assets
crazy
already.
big revamp to just give the thing a facelift. Implementing those assets likely wouldn't be too hard. The likes of ground textures and foliage, you could pull that from Battle for Azeroth and other expansions.
Be sure to
They
take a bit of
obviously
coin.
have
Yeah,
a
that's
massive
right.
library of grass,
That's right,
shrubs, herbs, that sort of thing. It's a lot of work, but it is doable, and they've done it before. Just take a look at the Warsong Gulch and Arithai Basin updates.
Yeah, they look
Those
great.
looked absolutely incredible,
They look
and
great.
perhaps that is what we could expect for a zone revamp done in the modern era. So, fill the whole thing with modern gameplay, factions, activities, call the job done. I mean, we saw new Forsaken Tabards without Sylvanas' mask. Tirisfal
yeah,
will
true.
look totally different post the Fourth War, and campaigns are just I mean, the narrative potential is just waiting to be put into the game. There are
love
so
it.
many dangling plot threads, like the Botani who escaped into the Barrens, the fact that Scholomance still has those necromancers after the Lich King, and so many others.
That's right.
At that point, you could then turn into new big stories. Patches dedicated to reclaiming Gilneas, checking out perhaps the Maghar and Frostwold.
Reclaiming Gilneas, giving us a new Lordaeron. Yeah, there's lots of good capital city stuff
Setting
you
up
could do.
in Winterspring.
Making
Or
Silvermoon
you could go a bit
flyable.
more out there. Just continue the arc that they're building at the minute in Dragonflight. But of course do so back home. If nothing else, World of Warcraft desperately needs a new player experience that isn't confused. I think Chromie Time is a fine and sensible thing to visit a past expansion, but the idea of a player spawning into Azeroth as a member of their faction and having a true, cohesive level-up experience that doesn't remind them of the Cataclysm all the time, I think that would be actually vital to much of the game's long-term health. But it does bring me to the most unrealistic, the most hopium, or perhaps copium, which is the real big revamp.
WoW 2. WoW 2. It's got to be WoW 2. I'm not talking about Overwatch 2 style. I'm talking about WoW fucking 2. N'Zoth comes back, tells us he actually was fucking around with us the entire time. We never actually killed him. We died. Our character, everything resets. It's WoW 2 time.
This is the
Classic
most unrealistic,
Shadowlands.
high-risk option.
WoW Immortal, oh my god.
But potentially the most reward. And that is a full remake. I'm not talking about retexturing, I'm talking about rebuilding the whole damn thing from the ground up. Full new geometry, massive.
WoW 2.
It would still look a lot like what we would expect.
The fuck is that? What is that? What the fuck is that? What's that sticking out of the planet? That's weird.
Modern flight speeds, very large view distances, just bigger.
The kids would love it.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be able to see, say, Sargeras' sword at the other side of Kalimdor from the peak of Hyjal.
Shadowlands was a nightmare, yeah,
One
exactly.
of those things where the layout of those old zones doesn't make sense for the modern-day view distances. Then you can get there in a couple of minutes, even less so if you're dragon riding. Azeroth feels small. Maybe it needs to feel big and new again. If there ever was to be a WoW 2, this is what it would be. And that's the thing. Do you have to do a WoW 2? A new game and call it WoW 2?
Yeah.
Or could you do this, which is pretty much also WoW 2? And the reason why it's at the end of this video is because it's extremely risky. It's absurdly a heavy lift. It'd be very hard.
It is risky.
It would work, though.
You know when I would see it happening? I could see it happening if the League of Legends MMO actually comes out, which I'm still expecting it to, and it really does good. And WoW just suffers greatly. I could see a WoW 2 at that point, because then they'd say, well, it's time to push the red button. Time to reset everything and try to bring people back one more time for another 20 years.
I mean, we do have zones like the Azure Span, with massive
Other than that,
vistas,
I don't see a
mountains,
WoW 2
factions,
happening.
many biomes within them, and many huge structures. It feels massive in the way that Azeroth did all those years ago, and now they have better tools, so perhaps the likes of Duskwood could hit a level of spooky immersion previously thought impossible.
Man, Duskwood was scary as shit
There are
back in
huge
vanilla.
risks, though, to a rebuild. How fondly do people remember the Cataclysm?
A good old
Because
purge, yeah,
sometimes
basically.
immature jokes aside, those zones were tonally odd compared to how vanilla
You best
Azeroth
believe they
felt,
would charge
and
us
they
for
were
WoW
so
too.
tied into Deathwing that right now they don't make much sense. Dragonflight has done an awesome job at weaving smaller
Tidewell,
stories
get rid of
into
that
a
shit.
grand
Delete that
narrative,
shit from chat.
whilst making them feel timeless and unique. So that focus on zone narrative and world building rather than fixing the timeline mid-Deathwing calamity is what we would have to see in a revamp like this.
It would be nice.
Which is really why the whole idea would be so damn exciting. 20 years have passed, and there is an opportunity to fill the world full of entirely new stories. Anduin's return, Dagran taking throne, and Khazad-dûm.
Oh, yeah, that shit with the
Clear
dwarves.
seeds of tension in Lordaeron. Whatever's going on with all those pirates getting together in Daenerys. Expand the world, literally make it bigger. Zones designed around modern principles, jam-packed with factions, content, and rewards, and things to
Make
get
the
lost
world
in.
feel alive.
Build it entirely new, but
great.
make it feel old. That may be the ultimate form of revamp. Give us the thing that we can't fall in love with again. There are many rewards with the risk, and one of
This whole city must be purged.
them is very relevant. No one wants a one-and-done revamp of the old world. I think people want a foundational structure to build the future of Warcraft on.
Yep.
Because as good as the game feels at the minute, there seems to be storm clouds on the horizon, and I can't imagine anything that would reinvigorate Azeroth more than an era-defining rebuild that would truly say, now is the ultimate time to come back. If you ever thought about WoW 2, it's pretty much this.
Picture WoW 2 actually getting launched. Could you imagine what the Twitch numbers would look like? I think that thing would damn near break records. I really do. There's so many people who have played WoW in the past at some point, whether it was 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago, 10 years ago, 10 days ago, that would all come back. Even if they're not playing, they'd come back just to see it.
In terms of scope, making it larger would be a lot of work, but even compare the size of the Azure span to, like,
would
Kalimdor.
Be higher than your DP.
Okay, not all of Kalimdor, but still,
it would just have to be like 32K
of the Dragon Isles, and they're absolutely ginormous. They're, I mean, even by playable area, larger than Northrend. Really damn big. What would I expect? Honestly, I would say patch by patch, slowly, with somehow that being ingrained into the level up experience as well. I think whatever the quest content is, I think it would serve as a source of, say, renown for current characters, a story to play through, and it may also be the level up experience for some new characters. You know, clusters of zones done in batches. I think a complete remake is really not likely, but updating the continents in that way, it's a bit of hopium, but it's hopium that I think is not outside the realms of possibility.
True, yeah.
I mean, would it sell? Hell yes, it would sell. It would bring people back. It would tap into the core love of Warcraft. Yes, it's not Illidan fighting demons, but I think it would hit people where they feel. So, that is my final word on the topic for now.
There are interesting so much about revamps.
We've talked about those in the past.
It's going to happen.
I feel like it's going to happen. Now we've talked about how it may actually happen if it is to. So let me know what you think. A massive thanks to our patrons and members for putting what they do. Of course, you guys have tons of content that is over there on at the Patreon and so forth. So thank you for your support. With that said, see you next time.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Great stuff from Bellular. I really hope they go with the whole revamp shit. I think it needs it. I think Dragonflight kind of proved that. You know, Dragonflight's great, but there's something still, like he said, clouds on the horizon. You could tell. We need something like this.